Best friend's ex-boyfriend secretly posted their Int-mate videos online, leading to her Suic-de, but her parents blame me instead. My friend Rosie, 22F, recently committed suicide. Her boyfriend of 2 years, Darius, 22 male, had been secretly filming them having sex and posting to porn sites. Her parents, 50s, think I'm a bad influence on her and gave her depression/made her kill herself. They don't want me at her funeral. Darius is still involved in her funeral. Rosie and I grew up together since kindergarten in a conservative area, and she has pretty conservative parents. Rosie was very introverted when I met her. It took weeks for her to talk to me in a normal volume. In contrast, I was a very loud and outspoken child, and over the years it rubbed off on her. Her parents are very nice people and have never said it to my face, but I know they thought/think I'm a bad influence on her. We were in the same school until we were around 14, when she moved away and we lost contact for a while. Neither of us had smartphones back then. We would email every month or so, but she had very limited computer time as well. When we were 18, we got into the same college and reconnected, although we don't see each other often because her studies are very demanding. We weren't as close as before, but we still talked a couple of times a month. I still considered her an important friend. 2 years ago, she got her first boyfriend, Darius, and it was obvious she had never been happier. I had never met him in person but have only heard good things from her. Her family knows about him and approves of their relationship. But around 2 months ago, she found out that he had been secretly filming their sexual activities and posting it on porn sites. He did not censor her face, and he had amassed a not insignificant number of followers from these videos. She was mortified and heartbroken but did not want any of their mutual friends knowing, for fear that people Earl could potentially see and see those videos. Since their social circles are very intertwined, she had no one to confide in and I was one of the few people who knew. She stressed that her parents could not find out. They were under the assumption that both her and Darius were Christians and were saving themselves for marriage, and if they did, they would likely cut her off financially. Her mutual friends with Darius did not know what happened, just that she dumped him and it didn't work out. She was very depressed and suicidal afterwards, and having dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts myself, I took her out almost daily to check on her and so that she could have someone to vent to. Her other friends noticed she was down, but she attributed it to dealing with the breakup and the stress of impending exams. I don't know what the exams are supposed to be called in English, but it's something like the bar exam for lawyers. It's a big deal. The day she died, I went to pick her up from her dorm for dinner, but she didn't answer her phone or the door. She lives in a single room. I don't want to go into the details, but I was the one who found her. She didn't even leave a note. I had to call her parents and tell them about it. When they came, her mom started shouting that I was a bad influence, that I gave her depression, and implied that I drove her to kill herself. I heard through the grapevine that Darius told her parents they were only on a break and were working things out, and he has been comforting her parents and helping organize her funeral/memorial. I am disgusted. I want to tell her parents, but I don't want to tarnish Rosie's memory. I also don't think her parents will believe me. I am not invited to her funeral and I am wondering if I should go anyways. I want to see her one last time, but I'm afraid I might cause a scene if I go. I also haven't cried once since the incident. I think I may still be in shock. I am waiting for the grief to hit me, but it still hasn't yet. I feel like I'm supposed to be traumatized, but all I feel is numb. I don't know if this is the right sub for this. I usually read stories like this in Bo-Roo, never expected to be the one posting, but I'm looking for advice on whether to go to the funeral, whether to approach her parents or confront Darius, and if so, how, and I guess just how to navigate this whole situation emotionally. Please let me know if this is the wrong sub to post in and I will post elsewhere. And I know Reddit is the first to suggest therapy. I'm on it. I can't afford individual therapy, but I'm on a wait list through my university's mental health program. I don't have an exact timeline for when I expect to be seen yet. Edit. I tried replying to all the comments but got a bit overwhelmed. Thank you all for the advice and hugs. I want to clarify a few things and share what I've decided so far. Thanks to all your help. Rosie deleted all the videos she could find when she found out and we talked mostly in person. I have some texts from her saying how betrayed she felt and how exhausting it was keeping up appearances and pretending to be fine, but nothing concrete. I have decided not to go to the funeral. I want to respect her parents' wishes and it probably wouldn't end well anyways. I'm working on finding out who else Rosie told. She said she only told 2 other high school friends. I did some sleuthing and I believe I found one of them. I sent a message asking to talk about Rosie, but she hasn't responded yet. After the funeral, I want to tell Rosie's parents part of the truth so they can have some closure and kick Darius out of their lives. I want to punch his face in, seriously. I hope to enlist the help of Rosie's other friends who have more credibility with her parents. So far, I'm thinking of telling them that Darius filmed her in the shower without her consent and posted them. That way it's 90% the truth, and I wouldn't have to reveal that they had sex. I will leave the Dutch science to pursue things legally up to them. I will still try to reply to comments, but I need a small break for now. Talking about this is pretty mentally draining. Thank you all again. I don't know how I would go about reporting this. I don't have any evidence as she deleted all the videos she could find online and physically. How do I bring this up to them? Will they even take the case? I may also have to ask for legal advice in my country, but please let me know, if you have experience, how I would go about making a report on behalf of a deceased person with little to no evidence. Go to the police and tell them, your friend was secretly recorded by her ex and it was on a porn site. They would be able to investigate. Things uploaded on the web don't just disappear. Is Darius making money from these videos? Because ultimately he drove your friend to depression, leading to her taking her own life. And if he is making money, I think you will 100% have to discuss with her parents. Probably sooner than later. Because that is pure evil. Oop, I did not realize you could make money from porn videos. He didn't post to OnlyFans or anything, he posted to sites like Pornhub and Suic-de. Can you monetize those? He had a couple thousand subscribers across these platforms, not more than 10k total, but I do not know his handle. Rosie didn't want me seeing and I respected that. Oop, when she found out she took down the videos and all copies she could find online, in the cloud, and in Darius's computer. But she was paranoid there was something she might have missed. I want to tell everyone what a horrible person Darius is, but truth be told I'm very detached from the rest of her friends. We are no longer in touch with friends back from school, long story, and most of her close friends right now are in her and Darius's major. He has a lot of credibility in their friend group and is held in high regard. I'm trying to think of a way to spin this that won't her as having had sex to her parents, but still make it clear that Darius is to blame here. I want to convince her friends who have more credibility to her parents, and then have them break the news. Some sort of cheating? Oop, I have texts from her saying how betrayed she felt that he did this but not the specifics. She initially called me and said she had something urgent to tell me, and since then we talked mostly in person since I visited her almost daily. She didn't text me often during this time except for when to meet up, not anything concrete enough to count as proof though. I can show her parents the texts as proof that Darius had hurt her deeply and maybe sit down with them later if her mom is willing. If not, I may write a letter. The funeral is in 4 days though, I don't know if that will change anything. Update 1. Hey, just wanted to write down my thoughts and update anyone who was wondering about how things went after Rosie's funeral. Some info that is relevant to this update. Rosie and I grew up in religious families but both deconverted around high school. She wasn't religious for the duration of her relationship with Darius but her parents believed she was still Christian. I know firsthand how damaging purity culture can be and that was why Rosie did not want people, and her parents in particular, finding out about her having had sex, even if it seems normal for most college students. Also, I said in my last post I was very loud as a child. That was true. I was feisty and kinda obnoxious. But my personality did a 180 in high school when I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Now I am introverted and do not have many close friends. Update 2. Darius is under investigation by the school and by law enforcement. I reached out to Rosie's high school friend Maggie, who I believe she also confided in about the Darius incident. Rosie had also told Sophie, another high school friend. The three of us swapped stories and ended up reaching out to Gwen, Rosie's best friend in college. Gwen was doing an exchange program overseas at the time of Rosie's death, and she had no idea all this had been going on. Rosie had been telling her everything was fine and that she broke up with Darius but didn't want to talk about it and that it was mutual. We decided to tell Rosie's parents an abridged version of the truth. We told them she was filmed in the shower, instead of during sex, because we felt that where we go from here is ultimately their decision and we shouldn't make it for them. Gwen is on good terms with her parents and met with them to tell them in person. Thankfully, they believed her right away. With Rosie's parents' blessing, Gwen blew up all of their group chats telling people what Darius had done. She also spread the abridged version. Within a couple hours, Darius's ex Nora, 21F, from about 3 years ago reached out to Gwen to say that she had also been filmed without consent and was too scared to say anything before. Nora made an official statement with our school and the school is investigating Darius. Nora and Rosie's parents have also went to the police. Nora had more solid evidence against Darius, so hopefully they will convict him. Unfortunately, this meant we had to come clean about what Darius had actually filmed. Rosie's parents weren't as mad as I feared and didn't hold our abridging the truth against us. There's no verdict as of now. The legal system works surprisingly slowly. And personally, I suspect Darius will get at most a slap on the wrist because his parents are well off and well connected. On the bright side, his social reputation is completely ruined. Most people trusted Gwen and Nora's statements and gave Darius hell. He took a leave of absence from the school and he will likely have to go to college overseas if he ever wants to graduate, because everyone in their major knows about it now. Some alumni from their field even caught wind and got involved. It's really very chaotic. I've asked Gwen not to involve me in any of this, besides giving the police any evidence I have and maybe being called to witness, of course, because my mental health has taken a huge hit from all of this and I don't have the energy to keep up with all the details. I have asked her to give me any significant updates though. Personally, I'm doing as well as one can after all this. Which is to say I'm struggling, but hanging in there, and depressed but not suicidal. Thank you for all your condolences in the last post. A few short personal updates from me. Rosie's parents, after Gwen told them, they reached out to me and asked to apologize in person. I didn't want to see them so we agreed to a phone call instead. They apologized profusely for lashing out at me. I forgave them. They didn't know what was going on. I was hurt but they had just lost their daughter and were understandably very emotional. I probably won't have much to do with her parents going forward, I didn't see them very much before, but I'm glad to have resolved this misunderstanding. The funeral/memorial. Gwen was not able to sit down with Rosie's parents until after the funeral. She also had to miss it because she was still overseas at the time. We waited until she came back, so sadly I missed it. Rosie was cremated, and her parents gave us, Gwen, some of the ashes. Gwen took Maggie, Sophie, and I to her and Rosie's favorite spot on campus, and we set up a picnic there. We spread some of her ashes there, had a moment of silence, and started swapping stories about Rosie and her life. I had my first real cry after Rosie left, maybe 3 weeks after her death. It was very cathartic and hopefully the first step to healing. Therapy. I told my parents about everything and they helped me find a therapist with a shorter wait list than the ones in school. I did an intake session, and I can expect to be seen in as little as 2 weeks with a therapist that specializes in grief counseling. In the time, I went to some support groups with Maggie, Sophie, and Gwen. I personally don't think it worked for me, because every time I talk about it it's like reliving the whole experience for me, so I will stick to therapy. Sophie and Maggie are still going to sessions. What next? My semester is almost over, so I'm trying to tough it out until then. I've told professors in my department about Rosie, they've heard about what happened, and they've been really kind and I've been given extensions on most of the work I missed. I'm not sure if I will be going back to school next semester or if I'm taking a break to recover mentally from all this. Maggie, Sophie, Gwen, and I have bonded over the shared trauma. Rosie had a pretty consistent taste in friends, lol. We will be keeping in touch and leaning on each other. Now on to second story. Mother-in-law destroyed my hair in my sleep, accusing me of cheating, and now my trust in my husband is shattered. Last night, I woke up and realized someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut, and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first, I thought I was losing my mind, maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband, Tim, because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops this bombshell, my mom. She might have done it. Apparently, my let's call her Diane, is convinced I've been cheating on Tim. Why? Because last week, she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker, Kyle, is gay and we were literally talking about work. But Diane decided I must be having an affair and, instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. This morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son. I was fuming. I told her Kyle isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, that's what they all say. I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her, but Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow up in our marriage. Any advice? Because I'm honestly at a loss here. Edit, my husband and I will be going to my mill tomorrow to talk to her about the situation again. Hopefully everyone will be calmed down by then and I won't have to threaten legal action. Thank you for all the support and suggestions. I will keep them in mind. Edit number 2, to everyone saying this is fake, I don't know how to make you believe me, and honestly, I shouldn't have to. I'm sitting here, crying in my friend's guest room, completely broken, trying to make sense of how my life has fallen apart in the span of 24 hours. My husband, the person I thought I could trust the most, betrayed me in the most humiliating way possible. His mother violated me in my sleep, and now strangers are telling me my pain isn't real. I wish with everything in me that this wasn't real. I wish I wasn't sitting here trying to figure out how to rebuild my life, how to ever trust someone again, or how to even face the people around me after this. I've barely eaten, I've been shaking all day, and I feel like my world is crumbling beneath me. I turned to Reddit because I didn't know where else to go. I needed advice, a sense of support, something to help me hold myself together. But these accusations? They're just making me feel even more alone. Update 1. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband, and now I found out my husband helped her after the conversation we had with Diane this morning. I noticed my husband, Tim, was acting weird. At first, I thought it was just guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time, and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said he truly thought I was cheating on him with Kyle, my gay coworker, because Diane had convinced him that there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterward, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong, but by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done. He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused, but I honestly don't know how to process this." This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them, and my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed a bag and am staying with a friend tonight, and while I figure out what to do, I don't know if I can ever trust him again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't talk to me, believe the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. Right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it will get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easy. I don't know what my next step is, but I do know this: I deserve better than this. Update 2. I think I'm going to divorce him, and I may file a police report. After everything that's happened, I've been thinking a lot about my next steps, and I've come to a heartbreaking but necessary conclusion. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I trusted Tim with my heart, my safety, my life, and he betrayed me in ways I never thought possible. I can't imagine a future where I feel safe with him, where I can trust him, or where I don't carry the weight of this violation every day. I'm strongly considering filing for divorce. The thought of staying with him feels unbearable, but at the same time, I can't stop worrying about the messiness of it all. I just want to cut ties completely, to walk away and rebuild my life without him or his mother dragging me down any further. As for filing a police report, I'm leaning toward it, but I'm scared of what it might bring. I know what they did was a crime. My own husband let his mother into our home to assault me in my sleep. But the thought of dealing with legal battles, or even just having to relive this again and again in statements, is exhausting. Part of me wants to hold them accountable, but another part just wants to run far away and never look back. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to friends, trying to find some clarity in all this chaos. It's terrifying and painful, but I know one thing for sure: I deserve so much better than this. Thank you to everyone who has shown me kindness and support. It means the world to me right now. Thank you so much for taking the time to write this. I can't even express how much it means to me to feel seen and supported right now. You're absolutely right. I've been trying to wrap my head around what to do next, and your suggestions really help me see things more clearly. I've already started taking pictures of my hair, and I'm keeping every text as evidence. I hadn't thought about asking for an admission in writing, but that's such a good idea. I'll definitely try to do that. The idea of him shaving his head as part of an apology honestly feels like the bare minimum after what he allowed to happen, though I don't think there's any way to truly fix what he's done. I'm terrified of what he or his mom might do next if I go back, so I'm staying with my friend for now while I figure out my options. The thought of filing a police report and getting a lawyer is overwhelming, but I know it might be necessary to protect myself. The betrayal I feel from both of them is unbearable, and I don't think I could ever trust him again. If I lived anywhere near Alabama, I'd absolutely take you up on your offer to help fix my hair. It's such a mess right now, and I feel so embarrassed every time I look in the mirror. Sadly, I'm pretty far away, but your kindness and support make me feel a little less alone in all of this. Thank you for being so sweet. I'm going through an incredibly traumatic situation, and I don't know what my legal options are. My mother-in-law entered my home in the middle of the night, with my husband's knowledge, and cut my hair while I was sleeping. She did this because she believed I was cheating. I wasn't. I confronted my husband, and while he didn't outright admit to planning this, he essentially confessed to knowing what his mom intended to do and letting her into our house that night. I'm planning to leave him and am seriously considering filing both a police report for assault on my mill, and a report against my husband for enabling her. 1. Would this conversation be enough to support filing a police report for what happened? 2. Could it help me in a divorce if I decide to pursue one? 3. Is it worth consulting a lawyer even if I'm not 100% sure about filing a report yet? I've documented everything, photos of my hair, text messages with my husband, and written down the timeline of events. I just don't know if this conversation would actually hold up as evidence since he doesn't outright admit to anything but heavily implies it. Any advice is appreciated. I'm feeling lost, scared, and overwhelmed right now.